Admiral Sarah Chun stood at the wide window of the UES Prometheus and watched the stars. Her hands were folded behind her back as she stared into the black space around Kepler Station. Today would be a day that changed everything. After 30 years of war, peace was finally coming. The war had started when she was just a young officer. Back then, humans had been exploring new worlds and building colonies among the stars. They thought they were alone until the first alien ships appeared. The Zephyrian hegemony had 7 different alien races working together. They had better weapons, faster ships, and technology that humans could only dream about. The aliens said humans were too dangerous to be left alone. They said humans spread too fast and took too many worlds. They said humans would become a threat to everyone in the galaxy. So they decided to stop humanity before it could grow stronger. The war was brutal. Entire human colonies were destroyed from space. Billions of people died. Earth itself was attacked 3 times. Many times it seemed like humanity would lose everything and disappear forever. But humans had something the aliens did not expect. They never gave up. Chun remembered the Battle of New Geneva, where Admiral Marcus Webb had turned a certain defeat into an impossible victory. She remembered the Siege of Luna, where human engineers had built weapons from scrap metal and mining equipment. She remembered watching her own brother die defending the Mars orbital platforms. But humans learned. They adapted. They found ways to fight enemies who were stronger and more advanced. Human tactics became unpredictable. Human technology began to catch up. Slowly, step by step, humanity fought back. 3 years ago, the tide had finally turned. The aliens realized that humans would never stop fighting. Every time they destroyed a human fleet, 2 more appeared. Every time they captured a human world, humans would take it back. The cost of fighting humanity was becoming too high. So here they were at Kepler Station, a neutral spaceport that neither side controlled. Today they would sign the Terran Hegemony Peace Accord. The war would finally end. Chun turned away from the window as her communication officer spoke. Admiral, the alien delegation has arrived. They are requesting permission to come aboard. Grant it, Chun said. But keep our security teams ready. She walked through the corridors of her ship toward the main conference room. The Prometheus was the pride of the human fleet. It was not the biggest ship or the most powerful, but it had survived every major battle of the war. Like humanity itself, it had scars, but it was still fighting. The conference room was large and bright. Human diplomats were already seated on one side of a long table. Charts and documents covered the surface. This treaty had taken months to negotiate. Every word had been argued over. Every term had been fought for. The alien delegation entered through the main doors. Chun watched them carefully. She had fought against these species for decades, but seeing them up close in peace was still strange. Kethver of the Silthri Empire led the group. He was tall and thin, with 4 arms and skin that changed colors like a mood ring. His eyes had many facets like an insect, and they seemed to look in all directions at once. The Silthri were the leaders of the Hegemony Alliance. Behind him came representatives of the other alien races. The Vorthik looked like living crystals that hummed when they moved. The Kroleks were amphibious creatures with wet, smooth skin. The Nexari had tentacles instead of arms. The Golheim were massive rock-like beings that moved slowly. The Threnid had wings and feathers but could not fly in normal gravity. The Zulkar were the smallest, but their technology was among the most advanced. Each species had their own reasons for fighting humans. Each had their own fears about what humanity might become. But now they were all here to make peace. Kethver approached the table with smooth, flowing movements. When he spoke, his voice came through a translation device. That made it sound like music. Admiral Chun, representatives of humanity, he said. Today we end the conflict that has cost so much blood on both sides. Today we build a new future for all species in this galaxy. Chun nodded but said nothing. She had learned not to trust alien words easily. Actions mattered more than speeches. The ceremony began. Diplomats from both sides read from prepared statements. They talked about cooperation and mutual respect. They spoke of trade agreements and shared scientific research. They promised that their children would live in peace. Chun watched Kethver during the speeches. Something about his expression bothered her. His multifaceted eyes seemed cold, despite his warm words. When he thought no one was looking, his face showed something different. It was not relief or happiness about peace. It looked more like satisfaction, as if everything was going according to plan. The treaty itself was thick with pages of rules and agreements. Humanity would keep the worlds they currently controlled. The hegemony would do the same. Neither side would build new military bases in certain areas of space. Both sides would reduce their fleets by 30%. Trade would resume between their territories. There were other terms too. Human ships could not enter hegemony space without permission. Hegemony ships could not enter human space without permission. Both sides would share information about dangerous space phenomena. They would cooperate in fighting pirates and other criminals. As the signing continued, Chun received a message on her personal communicator. It was from her intelligence officer on Earth. The message was brief but troubling. Long-range sensors had detected unusual activity in hegemony space. Large fleets were moving, but their destinations were unclear. Chun frowned and sent a quick reply asking for more details. The response came back minutes later. The alien fleets were moving toward the borders of human space. Not just one or two ships, but hundreds of vessels from all 7 hegemony species. She looked up at Kethver, who was now signing the treaty with great ceremony. His 4 hands moved gracefully over the documents. He smiled and spoke about friendship between their peoples. But Chun's instincts, sharpened by 30 years of war, were screaming warnings. Something was wrong. The timing was too perfect. Why would the hegemony move their fleets during peace negotiations? Why would they position forces near human space on the same day they signed a peace treaty? Chun caught the eye of Captain Rodriguez, her security chief. She made a small hand signal that meant, "Be ready." Rodriguez nodded slightly and quietly spoke into his communicator. The signing ceremony reached its final moments. Human President Harrison placed his signature on the last page. Kethver did the same with an elaborate flourish. Camera drones recorded everything for broadcast across the galaxy. "It is done," Kethver announced. "Peace between our peoples begins now." The room erupted in polite applause. Diplomats shook hands or performed their species-equivalent gestures. Some of the humans looked relieved. Others, like Chun, remained watchful. As the crowd began to mingle, Chun's communicator buzzed with an urgent priority message. She stepped aside to read it privately. What she saw made her blood turn cold. The message was from Admiral Torres at the Mars Defense Command. It was marked with the highest emergency codes. The text was brief but terrifying. "Admiral Chun, massive hegemony. Fleets detected entering human space at multiple points. Estimate over 300 capital ships. All colonies are reporting incoming attacks. This is not a mistake. We are under assault. The treaty was signed 37 minutes ago." Chun looked across the room at Kethver. He was speaking with other alien delegates, but his eyes met hers for just a moment. In that brief contact, she saw the truth. There was no warmth, no hope for peace. There was only cold calculation and the satisfaction of a plan perfectly executed. The aliens had never intended to honor the peace treaty. They had used it to make humanity lower their guard. While human leaders celebrated the end of war, alien fleets had been moving into position for a final strike. The treaty was not peace. It was a trap. Chun's hand moved to her weapon, but she stopped herself. Starting a fight here would not save her people. She needed to get back to her ship and warn the fleet. But she knew with terrible certainty that she was already too late. The betrayal had begun, and humanity was about to face its darkest hour. Admiral Chun's fingers flew across her communicator as she sent urgent warnings to every human ship she could reach. Around her, the peace celebration continued. Diplomats laughed and talked about the bright future ahead. None of them knew that human colonies were already burning. "Captain Rodriguez," Chun whispered into her communicator. "Get our people back to the ship immediately. Tell them it's a medical emergency if anyone asks." Rodriguez appeared at her side within minutes. His face was calm, but his eyes showed that he understood something was very wrong. "Admiral, what are your orders?" he asked quietly. "We leave now," Chun said. "The treaty is a lie. We're under attack." As they moved toward the exit, Kethfer approached them. His forearms spread wide in what looked like a friendly gesture. "Admiral Chun," he said with his musical voice, "surely you're not leaving so soon? We have much to discuss about our new partnership." Chun looked directly into his multifaceted eyes. "I'm sure we do," she said, "but duty calls." Something cold flickered in Kethfer's expression. For just a moment, the mask of friendship slipped away. Chun saw what was really underneath. It was not just deception. It was hatred, pure, burning hatred for humanity. "Of course," Kethfer said, his voice still pleasant. "Duty above all else. I admire that about humans. You never know when to stop fighting." Chun and her team reached their shuttle without further incident. As soon as they were aboard, Chun dropped all pretense. "Emergency departure," she ordered. "Get us back to the Prometheus now." The shuttle pilot looked confused but obeyed. As they flew away from Kepler Station, Chun's communicator exploded with incoming messages. Each one brought worse news than the last. New Terra was under bombardment. The orbital defenses had been powered down as part of the peace agreement. They never had a chance to fight back. 3 million civilians lived on that world. Proxima Colony had gone silent after reporting incoming alien ships. The automated beacon was still transmitting, but no one was answering communication attempts. Haven Station was destroyed. The mining platform had been home to 50,000 workers and their families. Now it was just debris floating in space. The pattern was clear and horrifying. The aliens were not trying to conquer human worlds. They were trying to destroy them completely. This was not a military campaign. It was genocide. By the time Chun reached her ship, reports were coming in from across human space. 50 worlds were under attack simultaneously. The aliens had planned this perfectly. While human leaders signed peace treaties, their fleets had been moving into position for months. "Admiral, on the bridge," someone called as Chun rushed onto the command deck of the Prometheus. "Status report," Chun demanded. "It's bad, Admiral," said Commander Walsh, her second in command. "We're receiving distress calls from everywhere. The aliens hit our defensive positions first. Most of our orbital platforms are gone." Chun stared at the tactical display. Red symbols marked the locations of attacks across human space. There were too many to count. The aliens had not just betrayed the peace treaty. They had planned the complete destruction of humanity. "What about Earth?" Chun asked. "Under siege," Walsh replied. "The planetary defenses are holding for now, but they're outnumbered 10-1. Chun felt rage building inside her chest. She had fought these aliens for 30 years. She had watched them kill her friends, her family, her people. And when humanity had finally forced them to the negotiating table, they had used peace as a weapon. "Signal all ships," Chun ordered. "We're going to Earth." "Admiral," Walsh said carefully, "we only have 12 ships in this sector. The alien fleet at Earth has over 100 capital ships." "I don't care," Chun said. "We're not abandoning Earth." As the human ships prepared to jump to faster-than-light speed, Chun received a personal message. It was from Admiral Marcus Webb, her old mentor. Webb commanded the defense of the Luna shipyards near Earth. Sarah, Webb's voice came through the speakers. His image appeared on the main screen. He looked older than she remembered. Tired, but his eyes still held the fire that had made him a legend. "Marcus," Chun said, "what's your situation?" "Not good," Webb admitted. "They hit us hard and fast. Most of our fleet was scattered across human space for the peace ceremony. We've got maybe 30 ships defending the entire Earth system." "We're coming to help," Chun said. Webb shook his head. "No, don't come here, Sarah. It's a trap within a trap. They want to draw in every human ship so they can destroy us all at once." "I'm not leaving you to fight alone," Chun said. "You have to," Webb replied. "Someone needs to survive this. Someone needs to make them pay for what they've done." Before Chun could argue, alarms began sounding on Webb's ship. His image shook as explosions rocked his vessel. "They're boarding us," Webb said. "Sarah, listen to me. Don't trust anyone. Don't believe any offer of surrender. They want us extinct. All of us." The transmission cut to static. Chun stared at the empty screen for a long moment. Around her, the bridge crew waited for orders. She could hear the fear in their breathing, see it in their eyes. But she also saw something else. Anger, the same rage that was burning inside her chest. "Change course," Chun said finally. "Take us to the outer rim." "Admiral?" Walsh asked. "We can't save Earth," Chun said. The words tasted like poison in her mouth. "But we can make sure humanity survives. And when we do, we're going to make them pay for every life they've taken." The Prometheus and its escort ships jumped away from the battle at Earth. Chun watched the tactical display as human positions across the galaxy went dark one by one. Each blinking light represented thousands or millions of human lives, people who had trusted in peace, people who had believed the war was over. Hours passed. The reports kept coming, each one worse than the last. The aliens were not just attacking military targets. They were destroying hospitals, schools, civilian shelters. They were hunting down escape pods and refugee ships. This was not war. This was extermination. Chen was studying star charts when her communications officer spoke up. "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission on all frequencies. It's coming from Kepler Station." "Put it on screen," Chun ordered. Kethver's face appeared on the main display. Behind him, Chun could see human prisoners in chains. She recognized some of them from the peace ceremony. Diplomats who had believed they were building a better future. "People of humanity," Kethver began. "Your governments lied to you. They told you that you could coexist with the civilized species of the galaxy. They were wrong." He gestured to the prisoners behind him. "These representatives came to us speaking of peace. But we know the truth about your species. You are a cancer that spreads through the galaxy. You take worlds that do not belong to you. You multiply without control. You would eventually threaten every peaceful civilization in existence." Kethver voice grew colder. "So we have decided to cure the galaxy of this disease. Your military is broken. Your colonies are destroyed. Your homeworld burns. Soon, humanity will be nothing but a memory." He paused and looked directly into the camera. Chun felt as if he was staring right at her. "To any human still watching this message, you have one choice. Surrender unconditionally, and you will be allowed to live as prisoners. Continue to resist, and you will be hunted down and eliminated. You have 24 hours to decide." The transmission ended. The bridge of the Prometheus was silent for a long moment. Then Chun heard something that surprised her. It was laughter. Quiet at first, then louder. She realized it was coming from her own throat. "Admiral?" Walsh asked, concerned. Chun wiped tears from her eyes. "They think they've won," she said. "They think breaking our governments and destroying our fleets means they've beaten humanity." She turned to face her crew. Every person on the bridge was watching her, waiting for her to lead them. "They don't understand us at all," Chun said. "They think we're like them. They think we need permission from leaders to fight. They think we need orders from governments to survive." Her voice grew stronger. "They're about to learn what humanity really is. We don't need fleets to be dangerous. We don't need armies to fight back. Every human in this galaxy is a weapon waiting to be aimed." Chun looked back at the tactical display. Most of the human positions were dark now, but scattered across the galaxy, she could see small signals, individual ships, hidden bases, survivor groups. Humanity was hurt. They were scattered. They were outnumbered and outgunned. But they were not broken. And now they had something more dangerous than any weapon the aliens could imagine. They had fury. Cold, focused, unstoppable fury. The aliens thought they had destroyed humanity. Instead, they had created something much worse. They had made an enemy that would never stop, never forgive, and never show mercy. The hunt was about to begin. 6 months had passed since the betrayal at Kepler Station. The galaxy now believed that humanity was finished. Alien news broadcasts spoke of the human problem in past tense. Hegemony forces had claimed all former human territories and divided them among the 7 species. They built new bases on human worlds and planted their flags where human cities once stood. But deep in the Hadean asteroid field, Admiral Sarah Chun was very much alive. The asteroid field was a perfect hiding place. Thousands of rocks the size of mountains drifted in complex patterns around a dying star. Any ship that entered without knowing the safe paths would be crushed by shifting asteroids or fried by radiation. But humans had been mining here for decades. They knew every tunnel, every cave, every safe passage. Chun stood in the command center of Base Omega, carved deep inside the largest asteroid. Through reinforced windows, she could see the construction work happening outside. Human engineers in spacesuits were building new ships from salvaged parts and stolen alien technology. The work never stopped. "Status report," Chun said as commander. Walsh approached with a data tablet. "We now have contacts with 47 resistance cells across the galaxy," Walsh reported. "Independent groups, mostly. But they're all fighting back in their own ways." Chun nodded. This was exactly what she had expected. The aliens had made a fundamental mistake. They thought destroying human governments would destroy human resistance. But humans had never needed permission to fight for their survival. "What about supplies?" Chun asked. "Better than expected," Walsh said. "The mining colonies were largely ignored during the initial attacks. Most of the underground facilities are still intact. We're getting reports of hidden stockpiles and weapon caches across human space." Chun smiled grimly. For 30 years of war, humans had learned to hide supplies and equipment. Military planners had prepared for the possibility that Earth might fall. They had scattered resources across hundreds of worlds, hidden in places the aliens would never think to look. A new voice joined the conversation. "Admiral, we've got something you need to see." Chun turned to see Dr. Elena Vasquez approaching. The xenobiologist had escaped from Darwin Station when the aliens attacked. She had spent her career studying alien species for the human military. Now that knowledge was proving invaluable. "What is it, Doctor?" Chun asked. Dr. Vasquez activated a holographic display. Images of the 7 hegemony species appeared in the air between them. "I've been analyzing all our intelligence on alien biology and psychology," Vasquez said. "During the war, we focused on their strengths. Now I'm looking at their weaknesses." She pointed to the image of a Silthari warrior. The Silthari have 4 hearts, but they're all connected to a single major artery. Sever that, and they die instantly. They also have a rigid honor code. They can't adapt quickly when their plans fail. The image changed to show a crystalline vorthek. The vorthek communicate through harmonic vibrations. Disrupt their frequency, and you can drive them insane. They also become brittle in extreme cold. One by one, Dr. Vasquez revealed critical vulnerabilities in each alien species. The amphibious. Krolix needed regular moisture or their skin would crack and bleed. The Nexari couldn't function if their tentacles were damaged. The massive Golheim moved slowly and had poor eyesight. The winged Thrunid were claustrophobic and panicked in enclosed spaces. The small Zulkar were physically weak despite their advanced technology. This is excellent work, Chun said. But intelligence is only useful if we can act on it. That's where I come in, said a new voice. Chun turned to see Chief Engineer Jackson McKenna walking into the command center. Everyone called him Forge because he could build weapons from almost anything. He had escaped from the Mars shipyards with a head full of technical knowledge and a burning desire for revenge. Show her, Dr. Vasquez said. Forge activated another holographic display. This one showed weapon designs unlike anything had seen before. They looked like human technology, but with alien components integrated throughout. I've been reverse engineering captured hegemony equipment, Forge explained. Turns out their technology works great when you combine it with human innovations. They never expected anyone to merge different tech bases. He pointed to a sleek rifle design. This fires Vorthak crystal fragments accelerated by human magnetic coils. The crystals shatter on impact and create harmonic disruptions, perfect for fighting other Vorthak. Another design appeared. This is a Krolix bioweapon modified with human targeting systems. It attacks their nervous system, but now we can control exactly how it spreads. The aliens always kept their technologies separate, Forge continued. Each species used only their own designs. They never shared or collaborated. That's their weakness. Humans have always been good at taking ideas from others and making them better. Chun studied the weapon designs. They were brilliant, but they were also disturbing. These were not tools for fighting soldiers. They were weapons designed to exploit specific biological vulnerabilities. They were made for killing entire species. Admiral, Walsh said quietly, there's something else. We've been monitoring alien communications. They're getting nervous. Explain, Chun said. Small attacks are happening everywhere, Walsh reported. Supply convoys disappearing. Garrison commanders found dead in their quarters. Communication relays being sabotaged. The aliens are starting to realize that humans didn't all die in the initial attacks. Chun felt a cold satisfaction. The resistance was working exactly as she had hoped. Scattered human groups were using the skills they had learned during 30 years of war. They were hitting the aliens where it hurt most. There's more, Walsh continued. We intercepted a communication from Kefver himself. He's been promoted to Supreme Commander of all hegemony forces. He's implementing something called Pacification Protocol 7. What does that involve? Chun asked. Mass executions of alien civilians who might be helping humans. Bombardment of any world where human activity is detected. They're getting desperate. Chun walked to the observation window and looked out at the construction work. Human workers were installing new weapon systems at a captured alien cruiser. They moved with purpose and determination. These were not the same people who had celebrated peace 6 months ago. The betrayal had changed them. It had changed all of humanity. They made us into this, Chun said softly. For 30 years, we tried to be reasonable. We offered terms. We followed rules of war. We showed mercy to prisoners. She turned back to her officers. They threw all of that away when they chose genocide. Now they get to see what humans become when mercy is no longer an option. Dr. Vasquez looked uncomfortable. Admiral, some of these new weapons. They're designed to cause maximum suffering. Are we sure this is the path we want to take? Chun met her eyes directly. Doctor, they tried to make humanity extinct. They hunted down refugees and children. They showed no mercy when they had the advantage. Why should we show them any now? Because we're supposed to be better than them, Vasquez said. We were, Chun replied. And look what it got us. Billions of dead humans and a galaxy that thinks we're extinct. She gestured to the construction work outside. We tried being the good guys. Now we're going to try being the scary ones. A communication alert sounded. Chun's intelligence officer appeared on the main screen. Admiral, we've got a priority message from the Arcturus cell. They've captured a hegemony supply depot, major haul of weapons and equipment. Casualties? Chun asked. None on our side. They used the new bioweapons. Every alien in the facility died within minutes. Chun nodded. Good. Tell them to distribute whatever they can't use to other resistance cells. After the transmission ended, the command center was quiet for a moment. Finally, Forge spoke up. Admiral, I've got the new ship designs ready. When do you want to begin production? Chun looked out at the asteroid field where humanity was rebuilding itself. But they were not rebuilding the same civilization that had existed before. This new humanity was harder, colder, more focused. They had learned from their mistakes. Begin production immediately, Chun said, and prepare for our first major operation. It's time to let the galaxy know that humanity is not extinct. She paused and looked at each of her officers. It's time to let them know that something much worse has taken our place. Dr. Vasquez shifted uncomfortably. What are you planning, Admiral? Chun smiled, but there was no warmth in it. I'm planning to teach the galaxy a lesson they'll never forget. When you betray humanity, there are consequences. And those consequences are going to hunt you across every star system until justice is served. Outside the window, the first of the new hybrid ships was taking shape. It looked dangerous even while still under construction. Soon, ships like it would carry human crews to every corner of the galaxy. They would bring a message that the aliens would understand perfectly. Humanity was back. And this time, they were not coming in peace. The first sign that everything had changed came when the Siltheri merchant fleet disappeared. Kethver stood in his command center on the conquered world of New Geneva, staring at reports that made no sense. 17 cargo ships had left Siltheri space 3 days ago, carrying supplies to the garrison forces. They should have arrived yesterday. Instead, they had simply vanished. Any distress signals? Kethver asked his communications officer. Nothing, Supreme Commander. The last transmission was a routine status report as they entered the Kepler system. Kethver's 4 hands clenched into fists. The Kepler system was deep inside what used to be human space. It was supposed to be secure. Hegemony patrol ships swept the area regularly. There should not be any human forces left there. But the humans were supposed to be extinct, and yet strange things kept happening. A week earlier, a Vorthic crystal mining operation had gone silent. When the rescue team arrived, they found all the workers dead. Their crystal bodies had been shattered by some kind of harmonic weapon. The frequency was unknown to Vorthac science. 3 days before that, a Kralix underwater base had been destroyed. The amphibious aliens inside had died from some kind of poison that attacked their nervous systems. Their bodies were found floating in their own habitat pools. Across the galaxy, similar attacks were happening. Small groups, isolated outposts. Supply convoys. Always quick, always deadly, always leaving no survivors to report what had happened. Supreme Commander, another officer called out. We're receiving a transmission from the search teams at Kepler. Put it through, Kethver ordered. The holographic display showed the wreckage of the merchant fleet. But it was not normal battle. Damage. The ships had been torn apart by weapons that no hegemony species recognized. Scorch marks from unknown energy sources. Holes that looked like they had been melted rather than blasted. There are no bodies, the search team leader reported. All the cargo is gone, and sir, there's something else. The camera moved to show words burned into the hull of the lead ship. They were written in the human language, glowing with residual heat. Remember Kepler Station. Cuthbert stared at the message. A cold feeling settled in his stomach. He had hoped that the humans would simply die quietly in the outer systems. Instead, they seemed to be getting stronger. Double all patrols, Cuthbert ordered, and increase security at all major installations. But doubling the patrols only made things worse. The next attack came at a Nexuri research station. The tentacled aliens were working on improving their weapon technology when human forces struck. The attackers used some kind of device that targeted the Nexuri's nervous system through their tentacles. The scientists died in agony, their own limbs turning against them. Then a Golheim mining facility was hit. The massive rock-like aliens were thought to be nearly invincible, but the humans had found their weakness. They used high-frequency sonic weapons that shattered the Golheim's mineral-based bodies from the inside. A Threnet airbase was attacked. Next, the winged aliens prided themselves on their aerial superiority. But the humans had trapped them underground in their own bunkers. The claustrophobic Threnet went insane with panic before the humans finished them off. Each attack was different. Each one exploited specific weaknesses that only detailed study could have revealed. The humans were not just fighting back. They were demonstrating that they knew everything about their enemies. Cuthbert called an emergency meeting of all hegemony commanders. Representatives from the 7 species gathered in the council chamber that had once been the human parliament building on New Geneva. "The situation is unacceptable," Cuthbert announced. "These terrorist attacks must be stopped." General Vexhar of the Vorthik spoke first. His crystal body hummed with agitation. "Our losses are becoming significant. 3 more outposts were destroyed this week. The humans are using our own biology against us," added Commander Silthak of the Kralliks. "They have weapons specifically designed to kill each of our species." Admiral Gromther of the Golheim rumbled his agreement. "They know things about us that we have never shared with outsiders." Cuthbert looked around the table. For the first time since the victory at Kepler Station, he saw fear in the eyes of his allies. The proud species that had conquered humanity were now afraid of human ghosts. How many humans could possibly be left? Asked Captain Zelrin of the Zulkar. "We destroyed all their major colonies. We eliminated their governments and military commands. That may have been our mistake," said Wing Commander Tilos of the Threned. "We focused on destroying their organized forces. We ignored the individual humans scattered across the galaxy." Cuthbert activated a holographic map of the galaxy. Red dots marked the locations of recent attacks. There were dozens of them, spread across hundreds of star systems. "The pattern suggests coordinated resistance," Cuthbert said. "These are not random survivors. Someone is organizing them." "Admiral Chun," said General Vexhar. "She escaped from Kepler Station. Intelligence reports suggest she may still be alive." The name sent a chill through the room. Sarah Chun had been humanity's most successful military commander during the war. If she was still alive and organizing resistance, it explained a lot about the effectiveness of the attacks. "We need to find her," Cuthbert said. "And we need to end this resistance before it grows stronger." But finding Chun proved impossible. The humans had learned to move like shadows. They appeared, struck, and vanished before any response could be organized. They used captured alien ships, so sensor readings were useless. They attacked from unexpected directions and disappeared into asteroid fields, nebulae, and other places where ships could hide. Worse, the attacks were escalating. What had started as raids on isolated outposts was becoming assaults on major installations. A hegemony naval base was destroyed by attackers who seemed to know exactly where every defensive system was located. A diplomatic meeting was interrupted by human commandos who killed everyone in the room before disappearing. The psychological effect was devastating. Hegemony forces began to see human attackers everywhere. Patrols reported ghost ships that vanished when investigated. Guards heard sounds in empty corridors. Soldiers jumped at shadows and shot at their own allies. Kefver tried to restore confidence by increasing security everywhere. Every hegemony world now had triple the normal garrison. Every supply convoy traveled with armed escorts. Every important facility was surrounded by layers of defensive systems, but the humans adapted to every countermeasure. When the aliens increased patrols, the humans attacked the patrol ships. When they added escorts to convoys, the humans destroyed the escorts first. When they built better defenses, the humans found ways around them. The breaking point came when the humans attacked the Silthari homeworld itself. Kefver was in his private quarters when the alarms began sounding. He rushed to the command center to find chaos. Human ships had somehow penetrated the most heavily defended system in hegemony space. "How many ships?" Kefver demanded. "Unknown, sir. They're using some kind of stealth technology. Our sensors can't get a clear reading." The attack was surgical and precise. The humans ignored military targets and civilian areas. Instead, they went straight for the government buildings where hegemony leaders lived and worked. They knew exactly where to strike for maximum psychological impact. Kefver watched in horror as the building next to his own headquarters exploded. The humans were not just attacking the homeworld. They were attacking the leadership. They were sending a message that nowhere was safe. The attack lasted only 20 minutes. When it was over, 17 government officials were dead, including 2 members of the High Council. The humans had vanished as quickly as they had appeared. In the aftermath, Kefver stood in his damaged command center and looked at reports from across the galaxy. Human attacks were happening everywhere now. Not just on military targets, but on anything connected to the hegemony government. "Sir," his communications officer said quietly, "we're receiving a transmission on all frequencies." The main screen flickered to life, showing a human face that Kefver recognized. Admiral Sarah Chun looked directly into the camera with cold, hard eyes. "People of the hegemony," Chun began. "6 months ago, you thought you had destroyed humanity. You celebrated our extinction. You divided our worlds among yourselves." Her voice was calm, but there was something terrifying in that calmness. "You were wrong. We are not extinct. We are not defeated. We are everywhere you are not looking. We are everyone you are not expecting." Chun leaned forward slightly. "You wanted to see what humans become when you take everything from them. Now you know, we become your nightmare." The transmission showed images of the recent attacks. Destroyed ships, burning facilities, dead alien soldiers. "This is what you earned when you chose betrayal over peace. This is what you get when you try to exterminate humanity." Chun's eyes seemed to look directly at Kefver. "We know where you live. We know where you work. We know where your families sleep at night. And we are coming for all of you." The transmission ended, leaving the command center in silence. Kefver stared at the blank screen. For the first time since the war began, he truly understood what they had awakened. The humans were no longer fighting for victory. They were fighting for revenge. And they would never. Kefver knelt in chains in the same room where he had once tortured Admiral Marcus Webb. The irony was not lost on him. The conference room on Kepler Station had been rebuilt exactly as it was before, down to the bloodstains on the floor where Webb had died. Admiral Sarah Chun stood where Kefver had stood 18 months ago. Her face was older now, marked by the weight of command and the burden of revenge. But her eyes were the same cold steel that had watched him sign the peace treaty that was never meant to be honored. "Do you remember this room?" Chun asked quietly. Kefver said nothing. His 4 arms were bound behind his back with restraints made from his own people's technology. His once proud uniform was torn and dirty. The supreme commander of the hegemony forces looked like what he was now, a prisoner of war, I remember it perfectly, Chun continued. I remember watching you torture my friend to death. I remember your smile when you told him that peace was never the plan. Through the wide windows, HFY could see human fleets in formation around the station. Hundreds of ships built from captured alien technology and human innovation. They represented something the galaxy had never seen before, a unified human military force that answered to no government, followed no rules of war, and showed no mercy to enemies. Look at them, Chun said, following his gaze. 80 months ago, you thought you had destroyed humanity. Instead, you gave us something we never had before. HFY finally spoke. What? He asked, his voice barely a whisper. Unity, Chun replied. For centuries, humans fought each other. We had different governments, different beliefs, different goals. You changed that. When you tried to kill all of us, you gave us a single purpose. Chun activated a holographic display that showed the current state of the galaxy. Most of the hegemony symbols were gone, replaced by human flags or empty space. The Vorthic Empire surrendered last week, Chun said matter-of-factly. What was left of their leadership anyway? We had already eliminated most of their military commanders and government officials. She pointed to another sector. The Krolix territories fell 2 months ago. Turns out amphibious species don't do well when you poison all their water supplies. One by one, Chun showed him the collapse of each hegemony member species. The proud alliance that had ruled the galaxy for generations had crumbled in less than 2 years of human resistance. The Nexari tried to negotiate, Chun continued. They offered to return all captured human worlds and pay tribute. We declined. Why? HFY asked. Chun looked at him with genuine surprise. Because you taught us not to trust alien promises. You showed us what happens when humans are merciful. You demonstrated that the only way to be safe in this galaxy is to be feared. The door opened and Commander Walsh entered, carrying a data tablet. Admiral, the final reports are in. Tell me, Chun said. The Golheim homeworld has been evacuated. The few survivors are requesting asylum with the Threnod. Denied, Chun said without hesitation. What about the Threnod? Their government officially dissolved yesterday. The remaining population is scattered across refugee ships. Chun nodded. And the Zulkar? Still holding out in the Omega system. But they're requesting negotiation. No negotiations, Chin said. Firmly, they made their choice when they signed onto your genocide. HFY listened to the casual discussion of the destruction of entire civilizations. These were species that had existed for thousands of years, reduced to refugees and scattered. Survivors in less than 2 years. You've become the very thing you accused us of being, HFY said. Chun turned back to him. Have we? Let me ask you something. When we fought for 30 years, did we ever try to exterminate your entire species? Did we hunt down your civilians? Did we attack your children? HFY remained silent. We didn't, Chun answered for him. We fought your military. We conquered your worlds. But we never tried to make you extinct. We always offered terms. We always followed the rules of war. Her voice grew colder. You taught us that following rules is weakness. You showed us that mercy is foolishness. You demonstrated that the only way to deal with an enemy is to eliminate them completely. Chun walked to the window and looked out at her fleet. Every ship out there carries weapons designed specifically to kill your people. Every captain has orders to show no quarter to any alien force. Every human in that fleet has lost family, friends, or homes to your betrayal. She turned back to face him. You created this, HFY. You turned humanity into exactly what you said we were, a species too dangerous to be allowed to exist. The communication system activated, and another human officer appeared on the screen. Admiral, we're receiving surrender offers from 3 more systems. The Hegemony Council is requesting immediate ceasefire negotiations. What's left of the Council? Chun asked. 7 members out of the original 43. Chun considered this for a moment. Tell them we'll accept surrender on the following terms: complete disarmament of all remaining forces, dissolution of the Hegemony Alliance, and transfer of all former human territories to our control. What about war crimes trials? The officer asked. Chun looked directly at Kethver. There will be trials, but not the kind they're expecting. After the transmission ended, Kethver finally understood what she meant. You're not going to follow your own legal system. Why should we? Chun replied. You didn't follow any laws when you committed genocide. You used our desire for peace as a weapon against us. Why should we extend you courtesies you never extended to us? She sat down across from him, close enough that he could see the exhaustion in her eyes. Do you want to know the difference between us and you? Kethver waited. We're not doing this because we enjoy it, Chun said. We're doing it because you made it necessary. Every time we destroy one of your fleets, every time we eliminate one of your leaders, every time we reduce one of your worlds to ash, we remember why we're doing it. She leaned forward. We remember the children on New Terra who died when you bombed their schools. We remember the families on Haven Station who were vaporized while they slept. We remember the peace negotiators you murdered after promising them safe passage. Chun stood up again. The galaxy is going to remember this. 2. They're going to remember what happens when you betray humanity. They're going to remember the price of underestimating us. Another communication came in. This time it was from Earth itself. The planet had been liberated 3 months earlier, but the reconstruction was still ongoing. Admiral, came the voice from Earth Command. The final evacuation ships from the Hegemony core worlds are departing. All remaining alien populations are being relocated to the designated reserve systems. Good, Chun replied. And our colonization fleets? Ready to begin settlement of the former Hegemony territories. The terraforming ships are already en route to the primary target worlds. Chun nodded. Humanity was not just destroying the Hegemony, they were replacing it. Human colonies would be established on every world that had once been used to stage attacks against humanity. The galaxy would be restructured to ensure that no alien alliance could ever again threaten human existence. You're taking everything, Kethver said, finally understanding the full scope of what was happening. No, Chun corrected. We're making sure this never happens again. We're creating a galaxy where humanity never has to worry about alien betrayal. She gestured to the window. Every ship out there, every colony we're building, every defense station we're constructing has one purpose: to ensure that humans never again have to trust alien promises of peace. Chun walked to the door, then turned back one final time. You wanted to know what humans become when you take everything from them. Now you know. We become something that makes sure we never lose anything again. She paused at the threshold. The trial proceedings will begin tomorrow. You'll answer for every human life lost because of your betrayal. But don't worry, it will be a fair trial. More fair than anything you gave us. As Chun left the room, Kethver was alone with his thoughts and his chains. Through the window, he could see human ships patrolling space that had once belonged to the Hegemony. Construction crews were already building new stations and defenses. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Humanity was no longer the species that offered peace and hoped for the best. They were now the species that everyone else feared to cross. They had become the dominant power not through conquest for its own sake, but through the simple principle that betraying humanity carried a price too high for anyone to pay. The hunt was over. The galaxy belonged to humanity now, and it would remember forever why that had become necessary.